If the terminal cancer patient that hired you to film some of his final days turned out to be a bloodthirsty psychopath hell-bent on being your best friend, what would you do? I'm going to break down the mistakes made by the freelance videographer, what he should have done differently, and how to beat the serial killer in Creep. Have you ever gone to meet someone without knowing exactly what you're walking into? They could be trying to convert you into their religion or rope you into a multi-level marketing scheme. Or they might want to lure you out into the woods so they can pay you to film them in the bathtub while plotting your murder. The internet is a crazy place. Aaron's been hired by a complete stranger to provide his videography services, and discretion is appreciated. He also likes filming himself while driving, but I'm sure that's the extent of his poor judgment. Aaron fills us in on the details of his arrangement, and there's really not much for him to go off of. We learn that he knows absolutely nothing about the client, but they're willing to pay him $1,000 per day, and that's good enough for this hungry go-getter to hop in his yellow piece of crap and schlep it out to the mountains by himself. He even entertains the idea that it's actually some lonely rich cougar that just wants to sink her claws into his supple young body. I sure hope so, Aaron. After a scenic country drive, we find ourselves in the small resort town of Crestline. It's home to lush pine forests, a clear blue lake, and punks skateboarding down the middle of the road. Get off the street, dude. You're gonna get mowed down by some idiot driving while filming himself with a camcorder. Aaron pulls up to a long cement driveway beside a large vacation home tucked into the woods. The yellow front door indicating he's found the right place. After humping it up the stairs and knocking on the door, it seems like no one's home. He can't get anyone on the phone and there's no way to leave a message. Something's not right about this job. If Aaron spent any time at all in this line of work, he should know $1,000 for a day of amateur filming with a home video camera is too good to be true. He doesn't even know the first name of the person who hired him, just the address of where to meet and that they'd appreciate discretion. When Aaron responded to the ad, he should have requested a name so he could do a little detective work. The client refusing to provide a first and last name is a bad sign. The only reason they'd want to conceal their identity is if they were planning something they don't want tied back to them. Aaron does have a phone number for the client, but it doesn't have a voicemail set up, which is another yellow flag. He should have made sure he could reach someone at the number before driving all the way out there. Looking it up on Google could also shed some light on who he might be meeting with. At the very least, Aaron should look up the home address to see if he can find the owner. If that turns up nothing, the situation should be suspicious enough to call off the job. If Aaron just can't afford to pass on the opportunity, he should have offered a friend a cut of the payment to come with him. The person hiring him was particular about discretion, but a partner to help him with the camera work shouldn't be a big deal. If the client demands Aaron come alone, call it off. But if Aaron is still hell-bent on taking this job, he should have at least told a friend or loved one where he was going, how long he was going to be there, and what he was going to be doing. He should have then checked in with this person the moment he arrived to update them on the situation. It's never a bad idea to let someone know what's going on, especially when there's an element of risk involved. Psycho stalkers or bloodthirsty monsters aren't the only thing you need to worry about. Often, we can be a danger to ourselves. A 2-decade statistical analysis revealed that knives cause more disabling injuries than any other type of hand tool. Over the course of a person's lifetime, you have a 10% chance of sustaining a serious injury with a knife. You can't go your whole life without using a knife, but you can minimize the risk by using proven techniques and high-quality, superbly sharp kitchen knives from this video's sponsor, Kamikoto. Why is a sharp knife safer than a dull knife? A dull blade requires more pressure to cut, increasing the chance that the knife will slip with a greater force behind it. A sharp knife bites the surface more readily. Kamikoto's knives aren't just sharp, they're well made, durable, and hold that sharp edge longer than other knives. This is because their knives are made with quality steel sourced from mills in Japan, honed and perfected with traditional Japanese techniques by expert bladesmiths. This is why they stand behind their knives with a lifetime guarantee. I'm not a Michelin star restaurant level chef, but I can tackle most anything with a wide variety of knives in the Kanpeki knife set. When I'm done slashing, the beautiful heavy-duty ashwood box is perfect for keeping them secure and ready, and doubles as a great gift for the holidays. Kamikoto is currently having their Black Friday holiday sale, and on top of that, you can get $50 off using my code NERD. Go to kamikoto.com/nerd, click the link in the top right corner or in the description box below. Taking the time to survey his surroundings, Aaron spots a brand new looking axe lodged in a dried up old stump. I've never understood why people are so careless with tools like this. Sure, just leave the burglars a device that they can use to break down your door and hack your ass to death. Although he's starting to doubt whether his mystery client is going to show up at all, Aaron decides to wait it out back in his car. The seemingly unused axe with no firewood around is a little unusual. Might be worth making a mental note of. Aaron had the right idea waiting in his car instead of on the front porch. Loitering at the door might lead someone to believe that you're breaking in or otherwise up to no good. It could also scare the homeowner if he didn't hear you knock and sees you hanging around the front of his house. Just as he begins to lose hope, someone slaps the roof of his car and scares him half to death. It turns out this is the guy that hired Aaron and dragged him out into the middle of nowhere. He introduces himself as Joseph, solving the mystery of the unknown client and dashing Aaron's hopes of a steamy liaison with a hot older woman. Right off the bat, Joseph tells Aaron that he has a really nice, kind face. He then pulls open the car door with both hands before immediately forcing Aaron into a hug, warning him to expect a lot more of those in the immediate future. Joseph startling Aaron might not seem intentional, but he could have easily approached him from a neutral position, letting Aaron know he was there without surprising him. It's a little too early to jump to conclusions, but this might have been a test to see how Aaron would react, gauging how sheepish he is while deliberately trying to put him on his heels. Forcefully pulling the car door open and commanding Aaron to exit the vehicle with a firm "come on" appears a bit controlling. Aaron wouldn't need to be a psychologist to recognize the warning signs popping up left and right. Anyone with a basic level of experience in human interaction should find Joseph's behavior troubling. Taken by themselves, each of Joseph's quirks, such as his comment about Aaron's nice, kind face, aren't necessarily cause for concern. It's the aggregate of his oddities and how quickly they accumulate that paints a disturbing picture of what is to come. Then there's the forced hug. It's always uncomfortable when someone acts like your best friend the second you meet them. There's a process to forging bonds with people, and each step is important. Trying to skip this process is like calling someone your girlfriend after the first date. It means you're either socially inept or you simply don't care enough about the other person to bother putting in the effort. It's a bit egotistical and disrespectful to think that everyone should just accept your forward advances without first establishing a genuine connection. I'm not saying you can't hug people when you meet them, or that Aaron should have uppercutted him the second Joseph leaned in. I'm just saying that this is another yellow flag he should be aware of. Following their awkward introduction, Joseph reveals he has an inoperable brain tumor the size of a baseball and has been given only 2 or 3 months to live. His wife of 6 years, Angela, is pregnant with their first and only child. Joseph says they'll be naming it Buddy. Inspired by the Michael Keaton movie My Life, Joseph wants to make a candid video showing his unborn child who he was in case things take a turn for the worse. Aaron should have asked why Angela isn't present at the cabin. It doesn't make any sense to exclude Joseph's pregnant wife from his My Life documentary. I find it odd that Joseph said that they were naming it Buddy. The word it implies that you don't know the gender, and Buddy is typically a male name. It's a minor inconsistency that's excusable on its own, but given all his other odd behaviors, it's suspicious. Aaron still knows literally nothing about this guy apart from the stories he's telling. He needs to get a last name and do a quick search on his smartphone while using the bathroom. He should also check around for family photos to verify Joseph's story. Aaron agrees to participate in the project and has cash shoved in his face immediately. Joseph then announces he'll be getting in the tub and sprints up the stairs before inviting Aaron to join him. Wait, what? Did I get the wrong version of this movie? Nope. To start his little documentary, Joseph wants Aaron to film him while he's in the bathtub. Aaron nearly walks in on Joseph undressing and apologizes, but Joseph just shrugs it off, telling him they'll be going a lot deeper places than this, whatever the hell that means. He then asks if Aaron's hungry and offers him a sandwich, all while holding his pants just barely high enough. We're then treated to the sight of a grown man acting out some good old-fashioned tubby time with an invisible baby, and my god, he really gets into it. The freak show ends with Joseph lamenting his impending doom and even expressing some suicidal ideations. He even goes as far as to threaten suicide right then and there. Joseph begins to slowly sink his head under the water, seemingly trying to drown himself. Don't worry though, he pops up screaming moments later to scare the hell out of Aaron for the second time in 9 minutes, which he thinks is just hilarious. It should go without saying that Joseph asking to be recorded while in the bathtub is extremely weird, especially since he acts like it's a perfectly normal request. Talk about skipping the process. I don't remember Michael Keaton doing anything like this in My Life. Not to mention the way Joseph immediately runs up the stairs like a giddy child as soon as he mentions the tub, asking if Aaron's hungry and telling him that they're going much deeper than this while his pants are hanging off could almost be Freudian slips, except Joseph seems pretty deliberate with what he's saying. It's all pretty weird, but none of it even compares to the sheer creepiness of Tubby Time, or pranking Aaron with a phony suicide attempt. With Tubby Time over, Joseph suggests they get some fresh air. He tells Aaron to grab a coat from the guest bedroom closet before they head outside, giving him a second to walk the house unsupervised. Aaron should take this time to do some snooping around, making sure he has a clear understanding of where all the potential exits are, and look for any family pictures or anything that would verify Joseph's story, and to give Aaron an idea of who Joseph is. If Joseph catches him wandering around, he can just play dumb, laugh it off, and blame it on a poor sense of direction. Aaron pulls back the curtain in the guest closet to find himself face to face with a hideous wolf mask, its yellowed fangs parted in a fiendish grin. Joseph explains that it's just Peach Fuzz, the friendly wolf character his dad created, and totally not something he wears while digging around in people's insides. He decides this is a great opportunity to treat his unborn son and future sociopath to the equally disturbing Peach Fuzz songs. It seems like Joseph intentionally directed Aaron to the closet knowing the wolf mask was placed prominently and perfectly facing outward. If Joseph had just said gotcha with the mask and moved on, this probably could have been written off as another dumb prank. Joseph explaining that his dad created the Peach Fuzz mask, along with a creepy song and dance to go with it, would lead me to believe that Joseph's odd behavior might be the product of a rather difficult childhood. A grimacing wolf mask doesn't seem like something a sane parent would choose for his child. Aaron still knows absolutely nothing about Joseph that he can verify, but all the inconsistencies he's seen so far suggest this story and everything else he's learned about Joseph is a total lie. Aaron's been around a fair bit of the house, and there hasn't been one picture of Joseph's family. There's no sign of his wife either. None of this is adding up. Aaron needs to make up an excuse to leave immediately, and then try to verify something about Joseph's story before even thinking of coming back. After the performance, Joseph and Aaron don matching ushankas and set out for a forest trail. Joseph says they're looking for some miracle healing waters he and his wife learned about from the owner of a local taco truck. They hit the trail and Joseph immediately charges off ahead with reckless abandon. He suddenly stops, apparently having seen something in the trees. Without warning, he sprints off the trail and disappears into the vegetation. Aaron meekly calls after him before reluctantly following behind. Joseph pops up from behind a log screaming bloody murder. Joseph comments on Aaron's very normal reaction to some lunatic jumping out at him. According to Joseph, the incredible sensation of terror that Aaron just experienced is what it feels like when you think you're about to die. He then accuses Aaron of giving off a murderous look for a couple of seconds following his near-death experience. "There's a little Peach Fuzz in you yet," says Joseph. The two men continue down the trail when Joseph asks if Aaron wants to make peace with anyone before he goes. Aaron mentions he has an ex, which Joseph mishears as an axe. He then proceeds to tell Aaron that he has an axe back at the house. Like any normal, well-adjusted person, Joseph asks if Aaron thought he might use that axe to murder him when he first saw it out front. I doubt Aaron was smart enough to Google this trail ahead of time, but being alone with Joseph on an unmarked, unknown trail in a remote area with little to no pedestrian traffic is an awful idea. It's starting to feel like Aaron's the real star of this documentary, the way Joseph is constantly trying to get a reaction out of him. Joseph's infatuation with inciting the incredible feeling of near-death experience in Aaron, almost as if the true purpose of this project is to capture Aaron's genuine responses to extreme stress. Joseph really latches on to the fleeting glimpse of murderous intent that Aaron supposedly displayed following the prank, taking it as a sign that he's got a little Peach Fuzz living inside him. Peach Fuzz is supposed to be a lovable childhood character that his dad created that dances and sings. Now Joseph's using it to characterize Aaron's animalistic desire for homicidal retribution. We're talking about something he displays prominently in his home. Joseph seemingly boasting about having an axe and then immediately asking if Aaron thought that Joseph was going to murder him with said axe after seeing it on his property demonstrates a very concerning frame of mind. Aaron should be starting to realize that coming out to the woods alone with Joseph was a very bad idea, as was this entire job. Even the most oblivious and gullible human beings would have noticed the absurd amount of red flags by now. If Aaron doesn't have some sort of weapon on him already, he needs to find a rock or a sharp stick in case this field trip ends at a pre-dug hole. Panicking or doing anything to provoke Joseph, who's clearly mentally disturbed, would be a bad idea. Aaron needs to cooperate long enough to get out of there and mentally prepare for a fight. Running won't be an option. Aaron's far too out of shape for the distance they've covered, and he hasn't been keeping track of the path that they took coming in. After several forks in the trail, the only thing that they've found is a sewer line, and Aaron begins to wonder if they've gotten lost. Joseph takes off running like before, only this time he calls Aaron to join him at a nearby overlook. Looking over the edge, the natural morphology of the rock forms forms a crude heart shape near some rushing water below. The two Ponce de Leon splash around a bit in the shallows before anointing each other. After they hug it out, Joseph scratches J+A in a heart on a nearby boulder, and then suggests that they head to a local restaurant for some of the world's best pancakes. We know from their introduction that Joseph's wife's name is Angela, but given everything we've seen so far, it's a safe bet that J+A he drew in the rock stands for Joseph and Aaron. This should be a clear indication to Aaron that Joseph intends to make their relationship a permanent one. Aaron needs to be calling or messaging people he can trust to let them know his whereabouts and the details of his situation. Conflict with Joseph is all but inevitable at this point, so it would be a good idea to have some backup on the way. He should also make sure to keep his keys on him at all times in case the opportunity presents itself to get the hell out of Dodge. Upon sitting down at Billy Bear's, Joseph cracks open the menu, wondering out loud what might be any good. Aaron's confused by this, as Joseph's family has supposedly been coming to this place for years. Joseph quickly shrugs off the suspicion. Mid-mouthful, Joseph asks Aaron if he's done anything he's really ashamed of. We learn that Aaron used to wet his pants so frequently that his parents invested in some kind of moisture-based alarm system that sounded every time he had an accident. One day on the playground, nature came calling, and young Aaron found himself soaked in urine while the alarm drew the attention of everyone around him. Joseph then asks Aaron if he can have a turn. He pulls out his phone and reveals photos he secretly took of Aaron upon arriving at the vacation home. He blames his shitty behavior on his little social anxiety, claiming he just wanted to get to know Aaron before Aaron got to know him. Joseph apologizes for being a creep and says he hopes that they can move past it. Although clearly bothered by this revelation, Aaron reluctantly forgives him. Aaron's decision to go have pancakes with Joseph after all he's witnessed is remarkably naive. It's actually quite reasonable for Joseph to check the menu despite claiming he's been coming to this restaurant for years. It's a common force of habit and menus do change. The fact that Aaron finds this suspicious after ignoring countless red flags is alarmingly stupid. Speaking of Joseph's family, why is Aaron still not asking about them and their whereabouts? A public restaurant is the perfect place to start grilling Joseph with complex questions that would be difficult to lie about on the spot. This would also be a great time to try to get his full name so Aaron can Google it right there. The revelation that Joseph was secretly photographing Aaron when he first arrived is yet another red flag on top of a mountain of red flags at this point. I could understand Joseph peeking out of his window to see who was at the door, but the fact that he took pictures from multiple angles, some eerily close to where Aaron was standing, and then spent half an hour looking them over before jump scaring Aaron in his car is not only deranged, but also inconsistent. Joseph said he only spied on Aaron because he was scared, except Joseph has presented himself as anything but shy or scared from the very beginning. Why is he even telling Aaron all this anyways? Aaron shrugging this off and saying he's moved past it, thereby maintaining an unprovoking posture until he can find an opportunity to leave, is acceptable. Joseph and Aaron return to the house at night, scaling the long staircase leading up to the front door. As they near the top, Aaron tells Joseph he's going to head back home. Joseph makes his disappointment glaringly obvious. He was hoping Aaron would stay for a whiskey so the two of them could commemorate their day. He breaks out the oldest trick in the book, begging Aaron to stick around for just one drink. Aaron caves to the guilt trip and agrees to hang around for just a bit longer. Under no circumstance would re-entering Joseph's home at night be reasonable for Aaron. This man is clearly a psychopath and has spent the entire day forcing a friendship rather than filming his video diary for his son. He needs to think of a rock-solid excuse to avoid being screwed over by his tendency of compromising to avoid confrontation. Joseph has proven to be very manipulative, so you can expect him to pull out all the stops to get Aaron back inside. You can almost see Joseph tugging at certain heartstrings while searching for the right one. He wants them to commemorate their new friendship with just one drink. This makes Aaron feel like a bad person for refusing to honor his friendship with a terminally ill man who only wants a little company. Joseph lowering the perceived level of commitment to just one drink in this context is another manipulative tactic, as Aaron couldn't possibly be unable to spare 5 minutes. If it were Country Mac asking, okay, this is more like Dennis Reynolds' implication territory. Why Aaron agrees to go inside when it's clear Joseph is a deranged and potentially dangerous person is beyond me. Seated across from one another with their drinks, Joseph sets the tone for the occasion, saying, "This is great, huh? Two guys having some whiskeys." He then asks Aaron why he decided to drive all the way out to Crestline to meet with him. When Aaron replies with the obvious answer that it was for the job, Joseph conjectures that he must be having money money problems. Having known him less than a day at this point, Joseph tells Aaron he wants to help him out by sharing his wealth with him. Aaron politely declines, just as any decent person would, but Joseph insists. He even tricks Aaron into searching his boot for a check he claimed to have planted, using the fact that he looked as further evidence he's in need of financial support. After a quick toast to themselves, Aaron's one drink is empty, and he gets up to leave. Before he can, however, Joseph confesses that he lied about something. Likely still shaken up from the whole "I was spying on you" thing, Aaron stops in his tracks and asks what he's talking about. Joseph's tone changes dramatically, as he says it's about peach fuzz. He then immediately swears Aaron to secrecy before asking him to turn off the camera and sit down now. No one says, "This is great, huh? Two guys having some whiskeys. Hello, fellow kids." It's what I'd expect from a serial killer trying to emulate what he thinks is male bonding. It goes without saying that unless Aaron can see Joseph pouring the whiskey straight from the bottle into both glasses, he should not drink it. Joseph continues making Aaron the star of the film by asking him why he took the job. This isn't relevant to Joseph's My Life memoir at all, which should lead Aaron to question whether it was all a lie. Joseph's subsequent gaslighting of Aaron about his money problems is yet another indicator that Joseph is a narcissistic abuser. As expected, when Aaron insists on leaving again, Joseph hits him with another serious emotional request that only a complete and total jerk would refuse. Like everything else about him, Joseph deliberately stalling when he knows Aaron only committed to a single drink is concerning. With Joseph seemingly committed to preventing Aaron's escape, Aaron should be internally preparing for a fight, looking for weapons and escape routes, making sure he has his keys, and dialing 911 just so someone's at least aware of his predicament. Once he's done all this, he should firmly insist on leaving and just go, no matter what manipulative tactic Joseph comes up with. Aaron swears he won't tell another living soul what he's about to hear and stops the video, but he's still audio recording. Joseph then reveals that peach fuzz was not, in fact, something his father made. Instead, we learn that Joseph's wife, Angela, had some rather unusual proclivities that he discovered while checking their browser history. She wouldn't cop to it though, and the accusation threatened to tear their marriage apart. One night, while they were staying at this very house, Joseph told her that he had to leave to take care of something at work. He then went out and bought the hideous wolf mask from a nearby dollar store, returning in the middle of the night and breaking into his own house. YouTube is not gonna like it if I tell you what happened next, but suffice it to say, Angela was pleasantly surprised. Joseph's sickening story about his wife's furry fantasies and his reaction to them is probably the biggest red flag you could possibly receive, which means it's also probably too late for poor Aaron. It's like the bigger the red flag, the more danger you're in. This is why paying attention to all the accumulating yellow flags is important. It could be another lie, but Joseph fabricating something like this and acting emotional about it is almost more disturbing than if it were true. Again, this big reveal has nothing to do with making a My Life video for Buddy. He had Aaron, a man he just met today, turn off the camera before dropping a nuke of a personal story on him. Joseph has to be utterly insane to think telling Aaron something like this is okay. With story time over, Joseph records the conclusion to his little documentary, but before he can stammer out the final send-off, Aaron calls it a wrap and starts looking for his keys. Sensing Aaron's urgency, Joseph asks if it has anything to do with the peach fuzz story. Aaron's keys are nowhere to be found. Instead of making any effort to help, Joseph suggests he spends the night and finds them in the morning. He argues that Aaron is technically over the legal limit, so driving home could land him in jail with a DUI. Seemingly convinced to stay the night, Aaron apologizes for getting worked up and pours a couple stiff ones to bury the hatchet. When Joseph's not looking, he sneaks a bottle of something from his pocket and dumps it in one of the drinks. Aaron goads Joseph into choking down the whole thing, and before long he's passed out in front of the fireplace. Aaron seizes the opportunity and starts rifling through Joseph's pockets. He snags his cell phone, but still no sign of the keys. Aaron was right to get up and immediately leave after realizing that the man across from him is the kind of guy that Bill Tench and Holden Ford would end up interviewing, except that he put his keys in his jacket, which he stupidly left on the counter where Joseph was preparing the whiskeys. His keys and phone should have been securely on his person and should never have been left unattended. Now his keys are missing. It should be obvious that Joseph hid Aaron's keys after all the manipulative behavior he's displayed and his constant stalling of Aaron's departure. If that's the case, and it's pretty likely that it is, this is basically an act of war, but obviously Joseph's gonna play dumb. Assaulting Joseph might not be a good idea right now. Aaron's a skinny, limp-wristed man-child, and Joseph has crazy person strength. Joseph also has has the home field advantage. He knows the house's layout and where all the potential weapons are. It'd be better to play along like a good little sheep until he gets a clear shot at an exit. The absolute last thing that Aaron should do is stay the night in one of Joseph's broken-in beds after hearing that story. He should just abandon his yellow beater, use the $1,000 Joseph gave him to get a ride home, and either have his car towed or write it off and buy another junker. Aaron won't be profiting much from this job, but considering he's leaving with his life, at this point, I'd call it good. Aaron's plan to incapacitate Joseph by slipping some Benadryl into another glass of whiskey was clever but a bit unrealistic. Not sure how Aaron would know where the Benadryl was without shuffling through a bunch of drawers with Joseph breathing down his neck. It was extremely lucky that he had a full bottle just lying around and that Joseph didn't catch him. The whiskey Benadryl combo would be pretty debilitating though. The problem with my previous plan of ditching the car is that if Joseph didn't know much about Aaron already, his car will contain his insurance information, which includes his full name and address. Knocking Joseph out with a sleep aid will enable Aaron to not only recover his car keys, but also to rifle through Joseph's stuff and potentially learn more about him. Obtaining Joseph's identity is very important because Joseph is definitely the stalker type, and this provides Aaron something to give to the police. Putting Joseph to sleep on the fireplace wasn't a great move. Aaron should have guided Joseph to a bed or a comfy chair, not because his comfort is a priority, but because the hard stone and potential for him to fall off the edge is more likely to wake him up. Aaron continues to be his own undoing. Instead of slinging his camera, grabbing a kitchen knife and Joseph's phone, trying to find his keys and leaving immediately, he lingers around watching Joseph dreaming of peach fuzz. Suddenly, Joseph's phone rings. Aaron runs to the bathroom and takes the call. It's Angela, and she wants to speak with Joseph. Aaron explains that her husband hired him for the My Life video, and they're at the vacation home in Crestline, but Angela has absolutely no idea what he's talking about or where that is. Confused and frustrated, she advises Aaron that if he just leaves the house immediately, he'll be fine. Aaron explains that he can't leave without his car keys, but she tells him to just give her the address for the house, walk out of there, and keep on walking. Aaron asks if he's in danger. Angela sighs and tells him her brother has problems. She begs him to leave one last time, and then the call drops. Aaron returns to the living room where Joseph was passed out, except he's gone. Aaron skulks around looking for any sign of his client turned captor when he notices the balcony door is slightly ajar. It's pitch black outside and the porch lights aren't much help. He creeps through the door and scans the darkness. Joseph comes out of nowhere and scares the crap out of Aaron again. Aaron decides that right now is an appropriate time to tell Joseph he spoke with Angela, causing Joseph to run downstairs. Aaron slowly follows him, carefully rounding the corner to find Joseph guarding the exit with a peach fuzz mask on. Aaron pleads for his freedom, but Joseph just starts growling at him while grinding his butt against the door like a tipsy co-ed. Aaron charges straight at Joseph, the video feed cutting out as they make contact. There was no reason to answer Joseph's phone or spend 20 minutes asking Angela stupid questions while cornering himself in the bathroom with no eyes on Joseph and no weapon in hand. It's obvious that Aaron needs to get out of the house right away. He can call her back when he's in a safe place. It's tempting to think that the balcony door being partially open is a ploy to get Aaron to go downstairs instead, but with how intoxicated Joseph is, he probably did go onto the balcony. Aaron should have closed and locked the door before turning on the lights to find out whether Joseph was really out there. He should then have grabbed a knife from the kitchen and made for the front door. After Aaron admitted he spoke with Angela and Joseph went sprinting down the stairs, Aaron had a clear opportunity to parkour off the balcony and run like hell. Now that Joseph knows Aaron is onto him and he's losing control, he's gonna try to prevent Aaron from leaving and may attack him. It's likely that Joseph is going downstairs to put his mask on and get a weapon at this point. Following him downstairs was the worst thing that Aaron could possibly have done. When he sees Joseph guarding the front door with the peach fuzz mask on, it's too late for running, reasoning, or getting help. Aaron has no choice but to fight. He should do his best to push the mask into Joseph's face so it obscures his vision while he pummels him. After the scuffle, we see Joseph burying some heavy garbage bags on a steep hill in the woods. The footage stops mid-shovel and the camera pivots away from the monitor it was displayed on. Evidently, Aaron is still alive and kicking. We learn that Joseph disappeared after the confrontation and Aaron had to call a tow truck to haul his car back home. Things were quiet for a couple days, and Aaron decided to just put this whole incident behind him. He then received a DVD in the mail containing the footage we just watched. Joseph has his address. Aaron decides the best thing to do is ignore the overt threat on his life and tosses the disc in the trash. He's gonna pretend like none of this ever happened, and that's it. Only it's not. The next day, Aaron finds a huge box on his doorstep. It has no return address, but it's pretty obvious where this thing came from. Aaron drags the mysterious package into his living room. After a quick kick and a half-hearted slap, Aaron feels the box has been sufficiently investigated and cuts it open with his face right over the top. Inside, we find a kitchen knife and another disc with "Watch Me" written across it. Big surprise, it's Joseph. Instead of inhuming more trash, however, this time he's reaching out to apologize for his previous video. The way he sees it, they're now even for Aaron having drugged him back at the cabin, but just to make sure it's all water under the bridge, he sent Aaron a multi-part gift consisting of the knife, the video, and some mysterious third element buried deeper inside the box. At Joseph's behest, Aaron digs deeper into the packing peanuts to find a tiny stuffed wolf cub. As if it weren't obvious enough, Joseph states that he loves wolves. He says it's because they love so strongly that they often murder things out of an inability to express their true feelings. I guess Liam Neeson's The Grey was actually a romantic comedy. He goes on to say that the toy reminded him of Aaron, and the murderous look in his eyes after Joseph scared the crap out of him in the woods. He wants Aaron to embrace his inner wolf and slaughter the stuffed animal with the supplied kitchen knife, because there's a special surprise waiting inside. Aaron gives the wolf cub a thorough exam and produces a heart-shaped locket. Opening the trinket reveals photos of Aaron and Joseph, along with a cheerful lullaby tune to remind him of all the good times they had. After closing the locket, we see J+A forever engraved on the back. Aaron decides that now might be a good time to get law enforcement involved. We then see him changing the lock on his front door while talking to the police over the phone. Unfortunately, all Aaron can think of to mention is Joseph's first name. What a weirdo he is, and that the house that they met at turned out to be a vacation rental. Predictably, they tell him that there's nothing that they can do. After Aaron made it back, he should have anticipated that Joseph would try to track him down. The death threat video just made it clear. Aaron never managed to recover his keys, and if he kept his house keys on the same ring, Joseph now has access to Aaron's home. He was smart to change the locks in his house, though he should have also tried to obtain a firearm, installed a proper home security system, and invited some friends over or gone to stay somewhere else for a while. I would have also taken all the video evidence of Joseph's deranged behavior and their confrontation to the police, along with Joseph's phone, which Aaron should have held onto after making his escape. Aaron already figured out that Joseph's house was just some random vacation rental. There should be detailed information on previous renters that could help narrow the search. If Joseph or Angela didn't rent it, there is clear footage of a break-in warranting Joseph's arrest. Aaron should also be keeping all the packages he receives from Joseph as further evidence to provide to the police. Anyone who watches the footage from Crestline, along with the videos that Joseph sent, would immediately understand that Aaron is in extreme danger. Who knows? The police might be hunting a prominent serial killer in the area, and this could be their big break. Ultimately, Aaron hardly does a damn thing. Hell, he's even having trouble interpreting the body bag video. Later that night, Aaron wakes up and records another horrific entry into his dream journal. Halfway through his account of the Tubby Time night terror, something suddenly strikes a nearby window, sending Aaron into a panicked frenzy. He quickly turns on every light in his home, and we see that he was sleeping with a clear line of sight between his bed and the windows in the front door. Aaron then grabs the only weapon seemingly at his disposal, which turns out to be the knife that Joseph included in the care package. He steps away from the door, revealing Joseph watching him through the windows. Aaron calls out to any would-be attackers, warning them that he has a knife and he's not afraid to use it. Joseph scurries out of sight just before Aaron returns to pick up his camera. He then walks over to his front door, which looks like it isn't even locked. Peering through the window, he doesn't see anything out of the ordinary. Aaron opens the door and steps outside. Some rustling off to the right draws his attention to some nearby shrubbery. He leaves his still open doorway and goes to investigate a narrow pathway running alongside his house. Aaron discovers one of the trash cans by his bedroom window has been knocked over, attributing the disturbance to mischievous raccoons. Aaron decides to call off his search and go back to bed. Suddenly, the camera starts moving on its own, scanning Aaron from head to toe. The camera returns to its original resting place, and then a pair of hands armed with scissors slowly extend towards Aaron's head, clipping off a lock of hair before retreating out of frame. Aaron recording his dream diary in the dark with his back to an open door and the closet weapon well out of reach is awfully nonchalant behavior for a stalking victim. Same with leaving the curtains open and not shutting the gate to his windowed front door. Seriously, Aaron, you're being hunted by a psychopath, and the only barrier between you and the outside world is a thin pane of glass. Venturing outside to look for Joseph while squinting through the small, dimly lit viewfinder and leaving the front door wide open has to be Aaron's most egregious mistake so far. There is no point in going out there. Just call the police and dig in. There's also no point in bringing the camera. If Joseph is out there and attacks you, you won't be able to defend yourself, and you definitely won't be keeping the footage. footage. Even if Aaron believes the situation to be a false alarm, he still left his front door open and unattended for an extended period of time. Aaron should systematically clear every room in his house before he even thinks about letting his guard down and going back to bed. Aaron wakes up to discover Joseph planted another DVD through a slit in the screen of his bedroom window. The top of the disc reads, "My last video." Aaron pops the disc into his DVD player, and we see Joseph sitting in the front of Lake Gregory back in Crestline. In it, Joseph says he found the heart locket while rooting around in Aaron's trash can. He says that the thought of it being thrown away sent him into a murderous spiral, but realizing this raised a red flag to him about his own behavior. Joseph offers a protracted and seemingly heartfelt apology, wherein he confesses that his pathological lying has been a problem his entire life, costing him any chance at forging authentic relationships and burning every bridge with other people in his life. He claims to be an extremely lonely person and hopes Aaron will show inhuman levels of kindness and forgive him for his misdeeds. Joseph concludes the message by telling Aaron he'll be waiting for him at Lake Gregory the following morning, but insists there's no pressure on him to show up. Aaron flips the camera back on himself, seemingly unsure whether he should take Joseph at his word. Suddenly, we find ourselves looking out over Lake Gregory. Aaron's voice can be heard from off-screen, warning Joseph he's going to be filming their interaction with his phone set to speed dial 911. With a heavy sigh, Aaron exits his crappy car with the camera staged and walks down to a lonely bench facing the lake shore. He sits down with his back to the camera, taking a moment to look over his shoulder before turning back to the lake and waiting for Joseph. Before too long, Joseph arrives, walking up behind Aaron without getting his attention. Without saying a word, he slips the peach fuzz mask over his head. Joseph whips the back right side of his jacket, revealing a shiny new axe, the same one we saw when Aaron arrived at the vacation home. He slowly draws closer to Aaron before raising the axe above his head. For 9 seconds, Joseph stands ready to strike, all while Aaron stares off into oblivion. Joseph brings the axe down on Aaron's head with a meaty smack. He winds up for a second blow, but the footage goes still before he connects. The camera turns away from a monitor displaying Aaron's final moments, and we see Joseph sitting alone in the dark, repeatedly watching the video for his own pleasure. We find ourselves scaling a staircase when a phone rings from out of view. The cameraman answers, identifying himself as Bill in an eerily familiar voice. Bill irons out the details of a paid video project with an unknown caller while walking through a narrow hallway and into a dark room. Once there, he opens a cabinet to reveal a huge collection of home movies, all labeled with various names and locations. He places a DVD among the others. It simply reads Aaron with a heart on it. Aaron was confident because he had 911 on speed dial and his camera set to film their interaction, except neither of those things would be any help because Joseph knows Aaron's car and will undoubtedly steal or destroy the evidence after murdering him. At this point, Aaron knows Joseph as a mentally disturbed stalker and pathological liar who has broken into his home and threatened to kill him. While ordinarily the best course of action would be to simply not engage with him, Joseph is far more determined than your average stalker. Simply ignoring his request to meet up at the lake won't stop him. Getting a gun and learning how to use it is always a good idea. If Joseph tries to kill Aaron, it's likely to be in a slow, intimate manner. Because of this, a firearm would lend Aaron a huge advantage. Only problem is, California law imposes a 10-day waiting period before a firearm can be released to a purchaser or transferee. That's a long time to wait, and hiding out with your friends or family may put them at risk as well. Aaron should discreetly stake out the meeting place and wait for Joseph to arrive, then call the cops and tell them that there's an altercation taking place. Once the police show up, Aaron should physically assault Joseph, forcing the police to intervene. If the cops come with lights and sirens and Joseph gets spooked, Aaron could cause an accident with his beater car. Joseph would then be compelled to provide statements and identifying information. This approach, coupled with Aaron's video footage and Joseph's possession of the axe mentioned therein, would be pretty incriminating. Staging an officially documented incident involving the both of you also ensures that if anything happens to you, Joseph will be the primary suspect. At the very least, Aaron should have waited for Joseph to show up first, or kept an eye on his surroundings and not turned his back to the only possible direction Joseph could approach from. In the final scene, when Joseph adds Aaron's film to his collection, we see a wide variety of video formats, from film rolls and 8mm tapes to VHS and now DVDs. Clearly, he's been at it for a long time. Joseph organized the vast majority of the films by name and profession. Only a couple tapes were delineated by location, like Fernando Cabo S. Lucas. This indicates that most of Joseph's murders were committed in the same general area, even spread out across a long period of time. The police would have undoubtedly noticed this many missing people and unsolved murders and suspected a serial serial killer was operating in the area. I mean, seriously, he must have over 100 recordings in there. If Aaron had only been able to properly explain his situation to the police and turn over the mountain of evidence incriminating Joseph as a dangerous psychopath, he probably could have avoided getting his wig split and landing an infamous serial killer behind bars in the process. Alternatively, had Aaron bothered to request more information from the anonymous job poster before this mess even began, he might have seen through Joseph's ruse a lot sooner, or even rejected the job altogether, sparing himself the several days of torment that would ultimately result in his death. In the end, I think we could have saved Aaron and beaten the serial killer and creep. Thanks for watching, and remember, treat every person you meet online as though they're planning to murder you.